right, in the fastest turnaround, I think maybe in pod history, we go from hypothetical Myles Garrett trades and trade assets to an interview with Christian Gonzalez that inexplicably included Jonathan Jones with no heads up, passing a microphone back at the Super Bowl. Nonetheless, happy to have them. Also happy to have this guy. We're just going to get this out of the way because you and I can never resist this. UConn across the chest on your sweatshirt.
Yep.
UConn logo in the background. We have a big game tomorrow night, St. John's. No one wants to hear about this, but you want to get it out of your system now?
Yeah, I know sometimes we allude to this, but, we're Huskies. And you said off the air, and I'll say it on the air, students now, Huskies forever. I mean, that is what we all say. No, I'm not going to hide it, okay? They're playing St. John's. It's a huge game. It's a gamble. I'll be lucky to be there. Like, it is all UConn between now and the Super Bowl for me. So if you're not a UConn fan, I'm sorry you don't root for the best team in the Northeast. I'm sorry your feelings are hurt. Boston College. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. UConn's the best team in the Northeast. It's not even close. Gample's the best facility in the Northeast. Not even close. I will be there on Friday. I can't wait. UConn, UConn. That's how we open the show today.
That is Mike Mutnansky, formerly WEEI, now the world-famous Mutt Stack. I looked at the bottom of your newsletter, which I told you this before, arrives in my inbox on Fridays. It is among a few things every single week. Brings me a little bit of delight, not because that sounds super depressing, but because there's a lot of crap that comes in my inbox I just don't want to read or deal with. That jumps in. I'm reading within 5 minutes, 10 minutes, certainly no more than that. It says 4,700 subscribers right now. Are we at 5,000? Can we get you to 5,000?
If you're watching or listening now, subscribe for free at mutstack.com. That should be updated. Again, that's user error. I not only am the Friday 4-pack, but I'm also the editor, and I fail miserably at editing. I am the worst editor in the history of online print journalism. Spelling mistakes, fragments that shouldn't be fragments. I use dashes way too much. I suck. And that needs to be updated. We're close to 4,900 at this point. Nice. So we are so close to 5,000 subscribers, thanks in part to your fans who have subscribed over the last couple of years, coming on here and yelling about things with you. So mutstack.com, Boston Sports News, Boston Media Gossip, and other random stuff for free once a week, mutstack.com.
Yeah, you have accused me of this before, scrolling down immediately to the Boston media notes.
Yeah.
I'd say it's true like half the time. Like, because I don't have much for the horse racing, and we will get into, as people can see by the title here today, Super Bowl prop bets, which you did a whole podcast on this Wednesday. Your favorite bets, stay away bets, favorite long shots, which is I get like, more passive, like watching the Celtics. I can, if I'm going to put a little here, there, socks, whatever, I don't want a 1-to-1. Give me like a 10-to-1 where I just am okay losing $5, but upside is I get 50, and then obviously your game pick. It's just it's loaded with good stuff, often that you don't hear other places. So I'm looking forward to it. And you should too. Subscribe at mutstack.com. Okay. I texted you about the Patriots, which we're also going to talk about. I said, what are you hot on right now? You said people are underestimating the Josh McDaniels hire as offensive coordinator. And it's been a couple of weeks, but I haven't heard this. So tell us why.
Well, maybe it's a somewhat straw man thing, but the immediate reaction after the McDaniels hire was that it was boring, it was retread, and that somehow Bob Kraft had pushed Josh McDaniels onto Mike Vrabel. And so, to me, that's the dumbest part of this. And I get Kraft right now as an absolute target for the fan base for a lot of reasons. But like Mike Vrabel had his choice. I think he could have picked one of 3 or 4 jobs out there if he wanted to. Across the NFL, if he had waited, he probably could have gone to the Raiders with his buddy Tom Brady. He was not coming to New England to be told, hey, you have to get this guy. So I thought that was really dumb. The second part is like that he's some sort of retread and that he's boring. This guy has been one of the best offensive coordinators for multiple points of his coaching career. He fails as head coach. He wasn't good in St. Louis with the Rams. I totally get it. But there is way more good than bad, okay? And if I believe the things I read about Josh McDaniels, that he spent the last year or so looking at college programs and how to work those type of offenses into the NFL, that's a big benefit to adding into whatever the Patriots, Bill O'Brien, Josh McDaniels, Charlie Weiss, that whole offense. But on top of that, there's a huge buy-in factor with this, right? If you had hired one of the young guns out there, let's say bring Nick Caley back. I know Nick Caley was a favorite of a lot of people. He ends up in Jacksonville
as well. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of media. Andy Hart, EEI, loves Nick Caley. Loves Nick Caley.
Smart, very good coach. I'm not here to like dump that as like his agent's doing extra work for him. Both can be true.
If you're Drake May, who are you more likely to buy into? The guy who might be the next young offensive mind, or the guy who worked with Tom freaking Brady? And it's not just the buy-in from Drake May, Callahan. It's the buy-in from the entire offense. Like, they sit down, they know there's an adult here. He's done it before at the highest level, and I'm not going to worry about if what he's saying comes from some place of inexperience. And so what I heard initially was boring and a craft push. And I think it's stupid, especially if you're like me and only care about Drake May's development. Josh is the best guy to develop Drake May. And so I think people's expectations of what they might get in offense, off target or like sort of anti-McDaniels, I thought that was a dumb narrative I heard after the hiring. I love the hiring, and I cannot wait, Callahan, for that first. Do it in the first game, Josh, please. Put Drake May in shotgun. Have him fake like the ball got snapped over his head. Direct snap to a running back. 6-yard gain. Like Antonio Gibson, free 6 yards for you. Feed me that play into my veins at some point next year. I love the Josh hire.
So Mike, that play is reserved exclusively for 2-point conversions in the Super Bowl, which this is one of my greatest Twitter regrets. I was living in Pennsylvania at the time, covering Penn State football, watching the 28-3 comeback. They needed a 2-point conversion. I said it out loud. I will find these two people no one's ever heard from, my good friends. One was at my wedding and said they're going to be a direct snap. Just a little piece of my brain stuck from that 2004 Super Bowl against the Panthers, February 2004, obviously 2003 season. Anyway, I'm with you. You know what else I'd love to see is like a double pass, something that says like, hey, we back. Because I do think when we talk about, and there's good reporting, I'm not here to dismiss like what Burt Breer has shared and written. Like that stuff I didn't have. I'm very glad he shared it. Greg Bedard has since added to this. When the coach does I went back to college, I picked up these new things. To me, it just reeks of your friend who goes abroad for a semester and then comes back and is like, oh my God, you have to go to Italy. You need to go to Spain. They take these naps. This is how better it is. It's not so hustle and go. I've been life-changing. And then within 6 months, they're still your asshole friend who's like pounding Miller Lights before you're going out to a frat party. Like, and racing back from like, come on, you're the same guy. I do think there is something to be said, though, for a guy whose offense I don't think needed modernizing like some do, but it's good to get away, take a breath, get some distance about what you've done and what could improve. I think that time and space will help Josh McDaniels, even if the offense you see ultimately, I believe, will be similar to what we last saw from Josh McDaniels.
Yeah, I don't think it's be that different. I really don't. And by the way, I'm okay with that. And it's not just Brady. Like he worked with Brady. He had Garoppolo and Brissett ready when Brady went down that year. He went to work with Derek Carr. His first year with Derek Carr, he elevated in a big time when it came to where he ranked sort of at some of the quarterback metrics that year. He's made some mistakes, man. And I maybe it's the boring factor for some people, but I think they are not understanding that the buy-in this offense is going to have now, led by Drake May, who's the only guy that matters on that offense to me, is going to be so much higher than bringing an inexperienced guy. I'm with you. Show me some of those old school Patriot plays. The direction. By the way, James White, I got to get this off. He should have been the MVP of that Super Bowl. That I definitely gave out at the time. Should have been the Super Bowl MVP. Had it stolen from him. I digress. I want those plays. I'm excited for Josh. Excited for Drake May as well, who, for all accounts, was pumped when he heard the Josh news, which you should be.
Yes. And you're allowed to digress. I mean, I just dragged us back to 2004 and then a tweet I didn't send in February 2017, which no one cared about or knew about until I brought it up. So you were more than forgiven.
Those two friends of yours, they still care. They still care.
Yes. So this is late Thursday morning as you and I are recording. Last night, the Patriots finally announced their staff, which on my last episode I said was coming, and we got a full list. The bottom line is the Patriots have 19 new assistants under Mike Vrabel, 7 holdovers. This is not uncommon across the league. New coach comes in, more or less cleans house, keeps a couple of guys who stay. Well, it's interesting. Jerron Mayo, Gerard's brother, is sticking around as a strength and conditioning coach. Other than that, a lot of the holdovers, assistant offensive line, defensive assistant, the real names everyone wants to know and finally saw and finalized. Doug Marrone is the offensive line coach. We know Thomas Brown's the tight ends coach and pass game coordinator. Todd Downing confirmed as the receivers coach. And a lot of these, of course, have connections to Mike Vrabel, whose whole entire defensive staff are basically guys he's crossed over with, including Ben McAdoo, who's just, as I called him, the mustachioed cockroach who just survived this this demolition of the offensive staff, but he is still walking around and now on the other side of the ball. Do you have any big takes about the staff now that it's finalized and it's announced and we're moving on to the next stage of the offseason?
All right. I have a take after I get a question from you because you follow this stuff much more closely than I do. Why wasn't this part of the plan last year? And why was Vrabel allowed to hire all these guys? Or does it seem like Mayo it was a different set of rules for Mayo? I know Belichick wanted fewer guys. So explain the transformation from Mayo to Vrabel, and then I'll give you my quick take.
So the framework there, because I've seen this other places, and I think it's a fine question, but it's just completely flipped on its head. It's not that Gerard wasn't allowed to hire those assistants. It's that he couldn't. People didn't want to come here. Like, I spoke with some agents and people involved in the offensive coordinator search a year ago that ultimately led all of us to Alex Van Pelt. I don't think it was a bad hire, but in the process, we're like, that interview was not great. I didn't really think I wanted to go here. I took it anyway and pass. You look now at this staff, I do think there's an element when people argue about, and this is a different topic, the experience, and there's not a lot of overlap in systems, and the guys haven't worked together. There's a lot of ego. You're buying low on Thomas Brown. He's been a coordinator the last couple of years. He's now a position coach. You're buying low on Doug Marrone, former head coach, NFL coordinator, been around forever to coach your offensive line. This is a good thing. You got talent in the building in the same way that we shouldn't be picky about roster talent when it comes to the players. They'll smooth this out. And if it takes Mike Vrabel benching one of those guys or saying, hey, quiet down or listen to Josh, so be it. But I think the staff is much better because Vrabel is the draw. Guys didn't want to come here and work for a first-year coach who would only be coaching for 5 years in Gerard Mayo. Mike Vrabel is a totally different story. Proven winner, proven coach, who's been around a lot of places, and in that process became an attraction for other assistant coaches who had never worked with him before to finally jump on staff.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Like, Alex Van Pelt was clearly like one of the last guys that they interviewed that actually wanted the job last year. Right. And there were a lot of guys who said no to it. It's a similar thing to the Red Sox. Remember, a year ago, the Red Sox couldn't get someone to run their front office. Like, Craig Breslow was not the first choice. Theo had to basically beg Craig Breslow to come here because there were bad interviews. I mean, how many people turned down the Red Sox because they didn't want to deal with ownership or the message they were hearing? I hadn't thought about that. As far as like my reaction to it, I love it. It's diverse and it's not Patriot centric. Like, I think the ownership group and the organization as a whole is doing a lot of holding on to the past. And you see this with the Cowboys have done this. The 49ers did it, during their run. Like, there's too much clinging to what was there. Vrabel doesn't feel quite like that, but they in the past have tried to like go back to their roots and try to prove to people, hey, this guy's part of the system. I'm glad there are new voices. I'm glad there are different guys. Thomas Brown, he got elevated to head coach the final, 4 or 5 games last year in Chicago. So clearly they thought something about him. You said tight end coach, right? For Thomas Brown.
Yep.
That's like the path to now be a coordinator again and be a head coach in the NFL. Like, I am all for the bigger coaching staff. I'm all for the diversity of it in terms of not all Patriot-centric guys. New voices are good. Like, I admittedly wanted Ben Johnson a year ago. He was a new voice and different. So new like Gillette Stadium alumni who, like, I want people who don't know where to park, don't know where the offices are. Like, it's new to them. That's good for this organization right now. So I'm all for it. All for it.
Yeah, and I've explained this too, is the problem solving, right? Like, if you're all working from the same system, you grew up in the same defense and the same offense, and you see the game the same way, there's a benefit in terms of your ability to communicate, right? Because you call outside zone the same thing. At a very basic example, we need to do this against whatever your name is for outside zone if you're trying to defend it. If you're on this staff now where Terrell Williams has been around with Detroit and obviously Tennessee, and before that the Raiders, and you've got guys that have worked under him, Mike Smith, their new outside linebackers coach with the Jets, he's been with the Vikings, he's bounced around. Like, they have different techniques, they've got more options. So when you come up with these problems mid-game, it's not you're pulling from the same playbook and the same history. You've got this diversity of experience and thought and understanding and techniques, and they'll take some time to gel. Like, this is going to be a very important offseason for them. But I'd rather get the talent in the building and smooth it out and have that well of experience, which was missing in 2022, right, with Matt Patricia and Joe Judge leading the offense. Bill O'Brien was leaning on 2 assistants who ran position rooms, guys that were under 30 and played defense in college, Ross Douglas and Vinny Cincinnati. You don't have any of that anymore. These are professionals. These are adults. These are experienced guys.
So last thing, real quick on the coaching staff, real quick. So I've heard, again, you mentioned Burt Breer, so I'll bring him up. He's pounded this idea that their front office is way undermanned. Did they expand their front office as part of this? Do we have any news yet about the guys now working in Vrabel's and Elliott Wolf, I guess for now, their front office? Is that expanded like the coaching staff was?
It's a good question. I love great questions in this podcast because I don't have many of them. So you doing this is real help to everyone listening. That process has not totally begun yet. Ryan Cowden was step 1. But as you know, most of the contracts for scouts, executives, directors, or whatever are up in mid-May. So they will move forward through the draft. And like every other front office, every other year, they'll have some turnover then and expand and be able to hire guys who might be in Houston now, who left with Nick Caserio, or were in Tennessee with Callahan, or maybe the Giants or whomever. So that process has started a little bit. It's more about, as I talked about with people within the team for the story Doug Kyde and I wrote last month, like, this is just organizational rot. You need more analytics in here. You need more sports science people. You need more everything. And so that's going to be part of the process, which is going to take longer than it did to build the coaching staff. But the coaching staff is finally here. You also said you don't want to talk about the draft because it's February. And honestly, I kind of get it, even though my scouting process has started. But right now, if you were on air, your take would be, you cannot convince me to trade down from number 4. Why is that?
Okay, so I know most of you still remember. It's only been about 5 years. The Patriots playing playoff football, the best of the best going head-to-head. That's what January and February is all about. I don't know when the Patriots will be back, but I know if you want to make lifetime memories, whether it's the NFL playoffs or later on this year, the NBA playoffs or the NHL playoffs, or you want to even go to a March Madness game, there's only one place to go. It's Game Time, the best secondary ticket marketplace you will find for one simple reason. They have a lowest price guarantee. And I use this, as you heard me tell you before, to make lifetime memories with my wife out in London. Went to the game with one of my best friends. Granted, he was a Jags fan. Nothing you could do about that. But the point is, I went to Game Time because they gave me that lowest price guarantee. Plus, as I was picking out tickets for them, they gave me a seat view right there, what it was like to be in Wembley Stadium. And you could do this even if you want to go to the Super Bowl. Find that exact seat. What's your view? Compare it to another one, but only at Game Time, where you get not only the seat view and the lowest price guarantee, but Game Time picks, where they give you all the best deals right up front, all in pricing. You don't even have to go searching for all these different deals. It's just the best of the best right there. You can find your tickets and go to the Super Bowl or any other event in less than 60 seconds. So what are you waiting for? Download the Game Time app today. Create an account. Use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase in these lifetime memories. Terms do apply. Again, just create an account. Use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, the best tickets, the lowest price guaranteed tickets to any game, concert, show, playoff, or regular season. Guaranteed. What time is it? Game Time.
I'm just sick of because they don't have enough like blue chip top flight players. And you can't convince me that of the top 4 players in this year's draft, there's not a blue chip player in those 4. You know, and from all indications, from my little draft research that I've done, okay, people want to trade up for Shedeur Sanders. And he may go in the top 3 now. There's already trade talk where they're trying to trade out of number 1.
Yeah, okay.
What's that?
The Patriots don't want to trade up for Shedeur Sanders. No. Other teams do. Okay.
One of the either the teams behind them or Andrew teams in front. And that means a very good player who probably should be going in the top 3 falls to number 4. And I want blue chip players to Mike Vrabel to have, whether it's at wide receiver, defensive line, offensive line, all needs for this team. I don't want the first round pick next year. I want the blue chip player at number 4. The more players you have like that, the better your team is. We've seen since Belichick left, they've lacked those type of players. I hate to quote Mike Lombardi, but God, he has it right with blue chip players, and they don't have very many of them. So I've already heard this trade down, accumulate a pick. It's early. I'm giving myself a little bit of wiggle room to change my mind. But as of right now, this team can't afford their lack of overall top level talent. They can't afford to punt out of 4. So I'm sick of hearing it already. I don't want to talk about the 26 draft. I want to talk about the 25 draft. I want to review and draft scout and get locked in. I don't want to talk trade. I want the best player available to make Mike Vrabel's job easier at number 4. So no trades as of right now.
I hear you. I'm more open to all options. Again, it's early in the draft process, but I also think if there's a scenario in which, okay, all of that is smoke. Shedeur Sanders mentions is smoke. Cam Ward, great. Maybe there's one quarterback that goes, Abdul Carter's gone. Then you have Travis Hunter's gone. And you're stuck going, Mason Graham's a really good defensive tackle out of Michigan. Will Johnson's a good corner, but they don't qualify in your minds, if you're the Patriots, as like blue chip elite year 1 starter. I trade back and get Will Campbell, because then you might have a reach there. And obviously the risk in trading back would be you get more assets, but you might lose him going from 4 to 6.
You lose the guy you want.
10. Right. So, yeah, there's a lot to balance there. The argument against this would be, there's not a ton of blue chip, depending on your evaluation, in this draft. But if someone else believes otherwise, and you can move back and stockpile and get players that are still in the top 10 and then maybe an extra second, that's why you might do this. I've already argued, ship the 4th pick to Cleveland, put whatever else you need in that gift basket to get Myles Garrett back. and just do the deal. But
yeah, I get that's a totally different scenario. And I will, if they turn number 4 into Myles Garrett, then I'll be okay with that. That's a blue chip player. So that'd be a good player to have for Mike Vrabel. But in my scenario, Sanders and Cam Ward go in the top 3. That means you're guaranteed to get Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter. Like that to me is a dream scenario. So I'm hopeful the quarterbacks get talked up in the next couple of months. One of both those guys go in the top 3. You get one of those other 2, and you've had a Elliott Wolf. You can't fail if you get one of those 2 from where I sit today in February.
Right. All right, let's get to the Super Bowl. And we are going to have a little Patriots flavor to this, plus the prop bets, which you've come up. And if anyone wants more, again, go to mudstack.com, listen to the whole podcast you just produced. You'll have bets coming out Friday in the newsletter. I subscribe. You should too. But you led off the podcast newsletter with a quote that said something to the effect of, man, if it weren't for betting, I don't really care about this game.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't know where that came from. I've heard it elsewhere. I did not buy this at all. As soon as this game was finalized, yes, I was bummed. The little 10-year-old who I keep bringing up, who lives in my heart and used to celebrate watching the early dynasty team, wants to see the Chiefs burn and fall and go away. And I don't want them to be surpassed. If they do, great. Then we'll all celebrate the Chiefs, as more people should have done with the Patriots in real time 20 and 10 years ago. But I think this game is going to be awesome. They're well coached. You've got great quarterbacks. You've got supreme talent, whether it's Saquon Barkley, obviously Travis Kelce at the back end of his career. Chris Jones makes a big play every single Super Bowl. Trent McDuffie, who should have been a Patriot. People will watch. It's the Super Bowl. Ratings will soar. Even if it's hate watching, everyone's saying, oh, I don't really care. I'm not going to watch. You're watching. You're going to eat wings like me. You're going to have a beer like me. And you're going to enjoy this game because I think it will be awesome.
So that was not my quote, for the record, at mudstack.com.
Okay.
That was a sports betting podcast host. I'll give you another one. I'll give you a name that you do know. Christopher Mad Dog Russo went on Felger and Maz on Monday or Tuesday and said, I'm sick of these 2 teams. I'm sick of this game. I'm not into the Super Bowl. By Sunday afternoon, I'll find something to root against, and I'll be into it. He's nuts. Russo's one of the greatest of all time. This is everything you want. This is the best quarterback on the planet going against the most talented team top to bottom in the NFL. The only thing standing in front of the three-peat, first guy since Bart Starr to win 3 straight NFL championships, right, is the Eagles. And their offense is built on the running game, which I have zero respect for. Running backs are a dime a dozen. Give me Antonio Gibson, Ramondre Stevenson. I don't care. Just need a good quarterback. And now the Philadelphia Eagles come in and go, no. You can win with Saquon Barkley and built on running game. This game is fascinating. If you're not into it, you're a hater. And I get that part of it. Like, Patriot fans, if it's what you root for, the laundry in your team and your dynasty, I kind of sort of get it. If you step aside from that, this is everything you want out of a game. 1.5 point spread. All the simulations, Andrew, have it basically like 25-24 between these 2 teams. Mahomes, Kelce, Barkley, Hurts, Philadelphia. I totally with you. We agree, which is kind of boring. But this game is great. I can't wait for Sunday.
And I'll throw this in there too, because I get the stale argument. Like, hey, we just saw this matchup 2 years ago. I'm a little bored with these teams, which obviously had been in Super Bowls before they even met 2 years ago.
Yeah.
If the Chiefs win, we will have seen something we've never seen before. Period.
Yeah.
End of story. I'm all for historic, provided it's not like an earthquake in my neighborhood here in Boston. If the Eagles win, that same team that denied the Patriots a three-peat, 2016, 2017, 2018, will have done the same to the Chiefs. And then at least the target goes on their back next season, which the Patriots are not going to play them. But the point is, it gives you a little bit more variety. So either you get the historic benefit of watching the Patriots still stand as still the greatest dynasty, at least for now, and we'll see what the Chiefs do next. You see something historic in the meantime and a great game, or we just all get a great football game. We're not going to have this for 7 months. So I choose to celebrate, and I'm excited to.
That's the other part. That's the other part. Like, this is your last football game for 7 months. Like, you sit and you enjoy this game. You soak it in, because the next thing you'll be doing is hoping Callahan's giving you Red Sox updates at some point. Like, you're we doing draft talk, and they're out the draft and the combine at St. Elmo's sucking down shrimp and counting guys 40 times. You enjoy it. Don't be a baby. Enjoy it. Even guess what, Patriot fans? Even if they win, they're not close. The Chiefs. Even if they win, Brady is still way ahead of Mahomes. Mahomes has 1 run. He needs the second one. So even if the Chiefs win this game, your dynasty and the best quarterback of all time, no matter what anyone says, that is still safe. I digress.
I would still suggest a media blackout maybe Monday. Because I don't think ESPN is more insufferable generally, or a lot of us gas bags, of which I include myself. This is not to do the very media thing of being like, oh well, the media says this and does that. It's like, hey pal, you're part of that group. Say we. Okay, this is not like rooting for your teams and saying we. You're employed. Anyway, Monday after the Super Bowl just gets loud and never more extreme. So just hang out, do something else if you're a Patriot fan. Anyway, moving on. If you are still bored by this, I'm going to come in and save you before we get to Mutt's favorite prop bets, stay away bets, 2 long shots, plus a game pick. We're going to do this at the end. PrizePicks. I told you this before, and I've even started like this before. America's #1 daily fantasy sports app is going to help you pair sports in the big game with money easier than anyone. This is how it goes. You just have to build a lineup. 2 to 6 player stat projections. Okay? You can do 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. And honestly, you might even be able to do 1 because they're giving you a free square in this lineup. All you have to do is more or less in these player stat projections. For example, this free square they're giving away, Patrick Mahomes. Do you think he will have more or less than half a passing yard? Yeah, probably more. So there you go. There's square number 1. Here's square number 2, which I'm going to use in PrizePicks this Sunday. Saquon Barkley, more or less than half a receiving or rushing touchdown. Yes, the guy who is scoring basically at will in one of the greatest seasons ever for a running back. More than, boom, there's a lineup. Patrick Mahomes, more than half a passing yard. Saquon Barkley, more than half a receiving or rushing touchdown. Lock it in. And if you sign up now as a new customer, you get a $50 bonus once you play your first $5 lineup, which we just built, with code CLNS. So download the PrizePicks app today. You can use Venmo. You can use MasterCard. You can do whatever you want. You get your money in. You pull it back out instantaneously. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use code CLNS for that $50 bonus after you play your first $5 lineup. Terms to apply. And use code CLNS after you download the PrizePicks app. PrizePicks, run your game. All right, pal. Do you like my lineup there? Is the prop bet king our betting advice expert here?
I think Saquon is the most bet anytime touchdown guy of the entire Super Bowl. So it's got a low. It's not super exciting, but it's got a nice low floor to get your return. Is what I would say. Yes, nice. It's safe floor bet. This is like your 30-year fixed mortgage of PrizePicks bet. So yes, I like the safeness of that bet. Yes,
and I will say this too: PrizePicks, daily fantasy sports. This is more than, less than. That's how they run their business. Yeah. We're going to talk about things that are in other places, other arenas. PrizePicks is daily fantasy sports. Build your lineup, 2 to 6 player stat projections for the Super Bowl. They're all over the place. Dallas Goedert, Juju Smith-Schuster's in there, Jalen Hurts, rushing, passing, scoring, all these different things. If you want a number, you can find it. And again, we just gave you a free square. This is courtesy of PrizePicks, who have supported us. Please support them. And then you can just root for Saquon, and that's pretty easy because he tends to turn out. All right. Yep. If you're applying your money or using it in other places, which do whatever you want, your favorite prop bets, Mike, you've already placed these down. What excites you about them, and what are they?
I have 2, and they might be available on PrizePicks. I don't know the odds on PrizePicks. I will tell you, no matter where you're playing, I think PrizePicks will tell you find the best price you can when you're betting this stuff. You have plenty of options. You're in Massachusetts. You have multiple books you can look at. But these might be available on PrizePicks. I don't know. My favorite prop overall is Jalen Hurts to throw an interception, over 1/2 interception. And my theory on this game is, and my prop bets all correlate with my opinion of the game. And my opinion of the game is that the Kansas City Chiefs be ready for Saquon Barkley. They're going to slow down the running game, and that Jalen Hurts will have to throw more than he's thrown really all year. Like the Eagles have been a run-first team. They have run the fewest teams in the NFL when trailing by more than 6 points. They get a lead, they run the football, and they go wire to wire. I think they'll have some challenges in this game. Means more Jalen Hurts throwing. I have bet him to throw an over interception at plus 130 at some places you look at. You can get him at almost 8-1 to throw 2 interceptions. So I'm sort of pointing to what I like in the game. But my favorite prop bet of all the plays I played so far, Jalen Hurts over 1/2 interception. Now, you're going to tell me what you think, or you want me to keep going here? You're going to grade out my prop bet?
Let's pause. So you can find Jalen Hurts more than at America's #1 daily fantasy sports app, which I know I'm saying it a lot, but it's daily fantasy sports, not gambling, not betting, no odds. You just go more or less in. That's the stat projection. Jalen Hurts, they have set him at 0.5 interceptions. So if you think he's going to throw an interception like you do, you can add that to your lineup. They also have Jalen Hurts more or less than half a passing touchdown. I don't know about you. I think the man's probably going to get somebody else in the end zone, and we'll see. So that's available there at PrizePicks. I do like it. Jalen Hurts, I will say, leans a little bit more risk averse when you look at all the quarterbacks out. I mean, just in the general universe. But when he gets outside the pocket, and I do think the Chiefs are going to try to flush him out as much as possible, that's where you see a big drop-off in his play. It's not in the pocket where he's almost as good as anybody else in the league. It's outside. And that, I think, is where you could see a little bit of trouble trying to, fit something in where it shouldn't be. He threw a pick in their last Super Bowl against the Chiefs as well.
Yeah, the way I see it is more pressure on him. Spags blitzing like crazy. He's not good against the blitz. 16th DVOA this year against blitzing teams. Spags blitzes like crazy. And so the chance of him, that interception percentage for him is very low, one of the best in the NFL, like you said. Yes. The more he throws, the more that goes up. So I'm going to play this game to be a little bit chaotic for him and go over interception. On the other side, I'm sure this is somewhere on PrizePicks as well. Xavier Worthy rushing yards. This is 5.5 in some places, juiced up, or 6.5. I like it either way. I want the over on Xavier Worthy rushing yards. How about this for Andy Reid, head coach of the Chiefs? 20 straight playoff games, Callahan. He has given the ball to a non-quarterback or non-running back for a carry, whether it's been a tight end or a wide receiver. How about all 4 Super Bowls he's coached in? He's given the ball to a non-quarterback or running back for a carry. 15 of 18 games this year, Xavier Worthy got a carry. One of those games, by the way, I'm going to take out because there was a Denver game they all sat. So 15 of the 18 games, Worthy had a carry, and he has had 4 multi-carry games in the last 5. He has emerged. He has exploded late in the year. He's in that circle of trust, that trust tree for Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. He's going to be utilized big time in this game. Philadelphia against number 1 wideouts. Terrible DVOA this year against. Xavier Worthy over 5.5 or 6.5 rushing yards, depending how you want to play it. I think he's going to have a big overall game, but I want the over on rushing yards.
More than at PrizePicks, 6.5 rush yards.
Yep.
You sold me. Those are tremendous numbers.
Trends
15 to 18. All 4 Super Bowls for Andy Reid. That's, I don't know. Stop selling. You sold me. I like that a lot. Xavier Worthy more than 6.5 rush yards.
Okay, 2 stayaways. Okay,
yeah.
The Saquon Barkley anytime touchdown, I get it. It's low risk. He's likely to get in the end zone. I'm going to stay away from his yardage stuff in this game because I think the Chiefs are going to be ready. I think Spags is the secret sauce for Kansas City in this game. He's always prepared. He knows they want to run the football, Philadelphia. He's going to get his, but we're still looking at over 100 and something yards for a rushing prop. I'm not going to take the cheese on this. You thought you had it last game, right? He had that big 60-yard run to start the game. He still went under his 130-yard rushing prop. So to me, stay away number 1. I'm not playing any of his yardage props for overs in this game. If I'm playing it, it's going to be unders. I think Kansas City's going to be ready for Barkley in this spot.
And I think, you look historically at the Chiefs defense, it does get better against the run in the playoffs. This is not like the Colts that you and I watched mid-2000s. The Patriots just hammer them. Even the mid-2010s, just hammer them. Whether it's Spags or you just get more Chris Jones, who's not rotating as much because these are big games, who's going to win his block more often than not. Like this is in a big linebacker level. They're better against the run in the playoffs than they are in the regular season. Also, game script could take this out of the Eagles' hands. If you think, as I do, Andy Reid is one of the best opening script coaches and play callers in the league, and the Chiefs get out to, let's say, a 10-0 lead, it's not going to stop the Eagles from running the ball, but it will take the ball out of Barkley's hands as a rusher a little bit because they need to play catch-up. They need to throw, to your point. 100%. So I'm not guaranteeing the Chiefs get out to an early lead, but combining that with the history of their run defense stiffening a little bit, I think that's a good call as a general stay away. What's another one?
This is general. I'm going to cop out on this, but when you go to your sports book, log on, wherever you're logging on, they're going to have these pre-made special parlays. Like I know one of the major ones, the whole section of Taylor Swift related like specials, right? It's like if X, Y, and Z happens, here's the odds. I'm asking people, just price them out yourself because what they've done, Callahan, is that because we're trying to win money. We're betting on sports. It's fun. We're trying to win. Like there's always like a hidden tax in some of these where the actual odds are much higher than what they put out in these let's call them pre-made picks. Just I would avoid them. They're easy to hit the button on. You want to have fun for a couple bucks, fine. But I would not go clicking through all these and betting all these pre-made because you're getting the worst number possible, number one. And if you keep doing that over and over again, you're making it worse than yourself. So the pre-made Super Bowl specials, those big parlays out there that are going to be everywhere in every sports book, I'm just not a fan of. I price your own stuff out, build your own stuff, and my guess is you'll get a better price overall.
Yeah, and if you do dabble, you'll also find that those pre-made parlays they're trying to put right in front of your face.
Yep.
Have better odds when you just build them yourself. Like there's 100%. A reason they're throwing them out there. It's not because obviously there's a low rate or hit rate of success, which obviously correlates to the money that you would be paid out theoretically. But if you do like what they have, just take a second and take a screenshot and say, oh, it's this, and that. Build it on your own. The odds are often better. It's just a little slimy, which is kind of the whole business. But to your point, I've never used one of those in my life, and a little bit that I dabble outside of PrizePicks, which is not often, but I think that's.
I admit I have. They can be fun. I'm not saying don't play them. I'm just saying I would not go. That should not be your whole day. Is like going through and clicking, because you're getting the worst odds, like Callahan said. And if you build them yourself, you can probably get better odds. So take the time if you can, build it out and price it out yourself. At least similarly, you can find it.
Yeah, it's like stuff samples at the grocery store. They're not doing that with stuff they know is going to sell. They're giving you a little taste because they want you to take more of it home and off their shelves. Like the stuff that's good, you got to go find on your own.
I line up and get that stuff myself, if we're being honest. All right, those are great odds. That's like at plus 130 and whatever the what was the other one? Plus or even minus 110. Two longer shots. Okay.
Yes.
I think if Philadelphia does win, it's not likely, but if they do win, I do think an offensive player to win the Super Bowl MVP is in play, because it's going to mean somebody had multiple sacks on Mahomes, maybe a strip sack fumble, maybe a pick six.
So
two guys I've looked at.
Okay.
What's that?
Gotcha. Yeah, I think you said offensive player, but you're saying a defender to win. Okay.
Defensive player to win, hand up, that's on me. Jalen Carter is 75-1 in a couple of places. Nolan Smith is over 100-1 in a couple of places. And if you think Philadelphia can win, and you think they're going to have to make some plays on Mahomes, I don't think these are crazy bets. I'm going to have some small bets in case I'm wrong about the game and Philadelphia does win. I think one of the paths they win is through defense, and one of their guys emerges in a huge standout defensive game, probably have to score or get 4 or 5 sacks and really make some impact plays. But Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith against the Chiefs' weakness, which is their offensive line, which kind of stinks out loud. Even with Buddy Joe Tooney there kicking out the tackle, they kind of stink. And so to me, where the game could be won for Philly is on the defensive line, I'm going to play a couple of long shots to win MVP on the defensive side, namely Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith.
Yeah, it depends on where Tooney is too. If they're keeping him at left tackle. And I say this as someone who has not kept up on this reading Super Bowl content, but there will be a weak link in that line. And the Eagles, as we know, have just bodies and bodies and waves of pass rush to throw at them, whether it's Carter or Nolan Smith or Milton Williams, any of these guys. So I think that, I mean, again, $5, 75-1, 100-1.
You wanted long shots. You wanted long shots, okay?
And yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. Like, set it and forget it. It's the old. You watched The Office, didn't you?
Yes, I watched it, but set it and forget it was Ron Papil. That was it.
No. Sorry, this is me. Hey, it's $5 down. Whatever, you forget it. If you lost, that's the point of forgetting. If you won, oh hey, look, found whatever amount of money that you would win in a bet like that. Did Kevin Malone always take the 1,000,000-to-1 odds? It's just lingering in the back of my head, and I don't know if it was like it was some musician to ever win an Oscar. He's like, I'm gonna be a rich man. Anyway, I'll find that line here in a second. But your other favorite long shot before we get to our game pick?
Are you familiar with what an octopus is in a football game?
Yes, touchdown and 2-point conversion.
Score a touchdown, then get the 2-point conversion. You can bet at different sports books on either it happening, yes or no. I like yes at like 10 to 11-1 because these two teams both love to go for 2. If you want to go longer than that, Jalen Hurts is 20-1 by himself to score a rushing touchdown, then get the tush-push 2-point conversion. And if you want to get really nuts, he runs more in the playoffs. So it's not completely insane. But for Mahomes to do it on the Kansas City side is 250-1 at a couple of books. So if you think he's going to run the ball more in the red zone, they've had trouble historically with Vic Fangio's defense in the red zone. Maybe Mahomes rushes more. He rushes more in the postseason already. I like an octopus, yes. But more specifically, Jalen Hurts 20-1, and then Patrick Mahomes 250-1. Again, pizza money, coffee money, long shot money, sweat it the entire game, some longer shot ideas.
I like the long shots. Here's the quote. If anyone gives you, not $1 million, which is what I said, if anyone gives you 10,000-1 odds on anything, you take that bet. If John Mellencamp ever wins an Oscar, I will be one rich dude. Kevin Malone, God bless. So not 10,000, but I do like those odds. And I think we need a better name for the octopus, by the way, like something that involves an 8. I know you don't want to call it a spider, but like the point of having 8 points, I'm just like an octopus sounds like something that's been thrown onto the ice in a hockey game. You know what I mean? Like I don't, because that must happen somewhere for that to be somewhere in my brain. Otherwise, I have more problems than I already knew I had. But just an update is the name. My only suggestion there for the octopus. But I do like it.
Get on that. You got an off season to do that. You're in charge. You come up with it. Reach out to PrizePicks. Figure it out.
You're right. You're right. I was trying to think of something to combat that, but you're absolutely right. I have more time in my hands. We're talking non-Patriots on a Patriots podcast. All right, give us a game pick. Are you going to take a stand and go with the Eagles here or go with the Chiefs like it seems like a lot of people are?
Yeah, I'll write about this again tomorrow on mutstack.com. On Friday, subscribe for free. It's Kansas City to me. Philly can win this game. There's a lot of sharp money coming in on Philadelphia in the money line these last couple of days. But their path to win to me is run the ball early, have a lead, and make a lot of plays on Mahomes. Well, what if that changes? I mentioned this earlier. They run the fewest plays this year in the NFL, trailing by 6 or more points. What if they get punched in the mouth early by Mahomes? And it's a close game in the fourth quarter. Well, if it is, I want Mahomes. I don't want Jalen Hurts. I want Andy Reid. I don't want Nick Sirianni. And there's a bunch of trends that stand out to me on Mahomes in Kansas City. 2 that I want to mention here that sort of back up the fact that in these spots, you want to back the Kansas City Chiefs. 28-9-1 in his career against the spread. Mahomes as an underdog or a less than a 3-point favorite. He is 30-4, Callahan, when he's had 8 or more days rest straight up since 2019. He and Reed team up. They have time to prepare. They'll be ready. Spag's a part of that as well on the defensive side. So I respect Philadelphia. I think it'll be a close game, but in the fourth quarter, I couldn't watch that fourth quarter not like this unless I had money on Mahomes. I would not want to have money on the Eagles. So close game, fourth quarter. I want Mahomes. I want Kansas City. I want Andy Reid. Give me the Chiefs money line at minus 120 in most places right now. Forget the spread. Chiefs money line minus 120. Book it.
I think I'm going to go with the Eagles, and I can't blame anyone either way. Mego put this to me on TV 2 weeks ago saying if we were picking the championship games, and I went with Buffalo, and I lost because I let the 10-year-old in my heart get a little bit of cash and put it wherever he wants. And the 10-year-old, as most 10-year-olds betting would do, loses the money. But she said, I think you're an idiot if you bet against the Chiefs. And I get it. I could do the thing where I'm just going to continue to pick the Chiefs and believe in them. And when I'm wrong, I'm wrong. In the same way that people took that attitude with Brady and before him, Jordan. But man, I just fly, Eagles, fly. I don't know. I need this to happen. I need some spice. I need some variety. I do think this game is going to be great. I'm not going to be upset if the Chiefs win. I think it'll be a great game. That's what I want. I can just, man, I think they're a deserved champion. I think they're more flexible. They brought in great coaches. That's paid off. They're certainly imperfect. Every team is. And there's a way that they could lose by, 14 or 17 in this game. But I just think ultimately they don't turn the ball over and you'll get one from Mahomes. And I think it'll be close, but they hold on late. And maybe it is a defensive MVP. I'm still thinking about that long shot. I like that a lot.
Yeah, go take a look. There's some big prices out there. All right, so you're going Philadelphia. Okay. All right.
Yeah, give me 27-23. I don't feel great about it. But if there's a team that I'm, in a small way kind of rooting for, again, not devastated, no pom-poms, not anything, just this would make me slightly happier.
All right. Well, I have a Chiefs. It'd be I'll give you a 25-20 Chiefs. So I have Chiefs and the under. You have Eagles and the over. So we are square up against each other.
What is the over under? Most places
48.5 or 49. So you're just over it. You're right at 50.
Yeah, more possession, maybe overtime.
Eagles
nuts like last year.
That bet is out there. I forget what the odds are, but there is some pretty high odds on will this game go to overtime. They're two close teams. Again, there's worse bets out there than will this game go to overtime.
Yeah, I'm just excited. Very ready for this game. All right. Good. Anything else we got to plug? Promo? We've done a great job, I think, today for PrizePicks and Mutstack. But what else is going on?
Mutstack.com. And if you see a lunatic doing the Yukon chant and gamble on Friday, that will probably be me. I have no shame. When you start, grew up in Massachusetts, so I grew up a fan of the local teams. Once you're working in radio, the fandom sort of goes away. So I admit, I'm still, I can't say I'm a quote unquote Patriots fan. I'm a Yukon fan still. So I'm pumped for Friday night, and I'm excited for Mahomes to win his 3rd straight championship on Sunday in the Super Bowl.
We shall see. All right. A pleasure as always, my friend. Thank you for making the time coming on. Everyone subscribe, read. Let's get mutstack.com to more than 5,000 subscribers by Monday, Tuesday next week. Good content every single week makes me happier. Plus, you can gossip like the rest of us do here in the Boston media market, and you get a little bit of that from Mutt. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, buddy. Enjoy the game.